speaker, Daniel Platt from Imperial College London. So we've known each other for a long time, even though we haven't met for a long time. So we were both PhD students together. And he will give us a talk entitled From Physics-Informed Neural Network to Numerically Verified Proofs in Geometric Analysis. So thank you very much, Daniel, and look forward to hearing.
All right, yeah, thank you very much for the friendly introduction. Thanks for the invitation, and thanks for putting this nice program together. It's a great 2 days so far. I completely changed the content of my talk yesterday. I wanted to say some general things, but now instead I'll just talk about one small case study about pins and geometric analysis. I hope the audience finds this more interesting. Let me start with a small slide, with a small chart. So here I counted papers in different areas. So on the left, I don't know if you can see this, like the big block there is a 2, the small one is a 1. And these are math exploratory papers where people used pins, physics-informed neural networks, to solve some elliptic partial differential equation and then conjecturally say something about what solutions may look like, but no rigorous math. Yeah. This is math. Then math is kind of lagging behind. This is physics, so physicists have done this for a while. In 2019, this was not physics-informed neural networks. This were some more classical methods, maybe pseudo-spectral. But then recently, here this large chart is almost all physics-informed neural networks. So lots of experimentations and interesting predictions, what solutions to some elliptic PDEs look like. And then there's one more bar, numerically verified proofs. This is when people took maybe one of these other papers and turned it into a rigorous result by starting with an approximate solution and then proving some perturbation result in elliptic analysis. And so the small case study I want to tell you about in the next slides is one of these blue lines here and then this green line here. And so 26 is not over, but it seems like maybe these bars are growing, so maybe we'll see more of this in the future. Right, so the reason why, so this is only in geometry, there are more numerically verified proofs in analysis, but the reason why you don't see this so much in geometry is that people are confined to kind of special cases. So these 3 examples here are either on S2, or there was some symmetry and you could reduce it to an ODE on R or to something 2-dimensional. So we haven't really been able to tackle the questions with harder geometry, which most of these interesting predictions, that's where they live, like in situations with interesting geometry. And there are, all of these papers here raise interesting open questions. Either does there exist some solution to this equation at all? Sometimes existence is known, but nothing else is known. So one would like to know, what does this solution look like? And examples are 2 examples where the numerically verified proof has not been given. One kind of high-profile case are free boundary minimal surfaces related to Steklov eigenvalues that we heard about earlier, I guess yesterday. So for example, this is a numerical candidate for a surface, but we don't know if it exists. And then here I plugged my own experimental paper where we looked at certain harmonic vector fields. So you just solve the harmonic vector field equation. For some reason you know it exists, but you have no clue what it looks like. So those are the 2 types of questions, existence and what does it look like. And let's ignore this last bullet point. And so what I'll tell you about first is now one slide about the pin exploration paper and then one slide about the proof paper. So here's the exploration paper. This is not my paper. This is written by others. And it tackles the Nirenberg problem. The Nirenberg problem is an old problem in geometry which asks which functions k on the sphere are the curvature of some metric on the sphere. Very interesting in geometry. And first thing you want to do if you want to make any dent in this problem is you translate it into analysis and it becomes this elliptic PDE here, which looks kind of nice. 1 minus Laplace u minus k e to the 2u squared. So here the Laplacian is positive definite. And people have studied this quite intensely over the last decades. And some things that are known, for example, is if k is everywhere negative, there's no solution. And then some things that we are used to seeing in analysis is if, for example, k is positive everywhere, then we have that minus delta u minus k to the u is negative. So one can, in many cases, get some a priori estimate and then prove something about existence of solutions. That's one common trick. Another common trick is use symmetries, and there's a result. If the prescribed curvature has some symmetry, then there also exists a solution. So those are maybe these common pen and paper analysis tricks that we've seen many times. And then these guys came along and looked at the cases where the theory doesn't tell you anything, and they just used a pin to numerically solve this equation, and then based on whether they find a good approximate solution or not, say, well, probably there exists one, or probably there exists none. And here's a table that they have. Some guys where it was known that there exists a solution, some guys where it was known that there exists no solution, and then the mystery guys where there's no theory. And there are some other questions you could ask about these solutions, things you would like to know, even when you know there exists one. And I guess we get to this on the next slide. So exactly what I'll tell you about on the next slide is take one of these mystery solutions and then upgrade this numerical solution to a true solution using one of these numerically verified proofs. So for one of the potentially interesting candidates, first thing I did was I numerically solved this equation using a traditional method. So I unfortunately didn't use a pin. I used some spectral solver. You get the residual very small very quickly, 10 to the minus 7. On the previous slide, it was so small probably no one could see this, but with the pin, how small you get the loss is roughly what Javier mentioned in his talk. With the standard atom or BFGS, you get it down to 10 to the minus 5 or something like this. But you really want it to be a bit smaller actually, and so that's why I did here one of these classical methods. And right, so then I mean, this is a very short talk, I'm more than halfway through, so I won't talk about the details how this numerically verified proof works, but how it normally goes is you have this approximate solution and then you use the elliptic equation to show that there exists some small perturbation which turns it into a real solution. And so this true solution U is very close to your approximate solution, but you can't write down an equation for it. It's just known to exist. And so these pictures here, here's our mystery curvature for which we don't know existence. Well, now we do, but on the last slide we didn't know existence. And you see it's one of these complicated guys that is positive somewhere, negative somewhere. It doesn't have this right antipodal symmetry, so none of the known literature applies there. And then very interesting is, oh right, this was actually one of the points, yeah. New regimes outside of known positivity symmetry results. Then next, look at these two pictures. Those are two different approximate solutions, and this proof shows you there exist two different true solutions near these guys. And that's another nice thing, that we see some symmetry breaking. You prescribe something very symmetric, you get something out that's not very symmetric. Again, by the classical theory, this is a bit difficult to detect this because normally you want to use the symmetry in your pen and paper analysis. But like the computer doesn't care, it just finds the two solutions. So again, for proving non-uniqueness and symmetry broken stuff, this computer can give you some insight that maybe using classical methods we weren't able to get yet, at least. And so then, unfortunately, a thing where like the most straightforward application of a numerically verified proof doesn't have much to say is questions about non-existence, or also proving that there are no other solutions. So this is something that would now be very interesting now that it's kind of easy to nail down which explicit, like if you give me a curvature, I can tell you does it have a solution or not. But now it would be really nice to know, are those all the solutions, or even prove non-existence. And once you've done this, yeah, then I think that would be kind of a satisfactory answer to many of the open questions about this Nuremberg problem. Okay, those were 3 quick slides. I'm at the end of my talk. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much. Questions for Daniel? Yeah.
Maybe a small comment about the uniqueness or non-uniqueness. So for PDE, I mean, I don't know about your specific PDE, but for PDE, there is a paper Kenta Kobayashi in the context of water waves, where he managed to do some form of uniqueness. And it's a whole different PDE. Who knows if it has anything to do with yours, but maybe some things along that line could work. So he did, the way he did it was he started with some like bad a priori estimates, and he progressively refined them up until he was in a neighborhood where he could apply like a fixed point theorem, and then it's done. So that's kind of the method that he used. Whether this can be done here or not, I have no idea.
It's quite believable this can be done in some cases, because for some curvatures you get an a priori estimate, and it's very believable this strategy would work. Yeah.
So we have a question online. So for numerical solution, which type of spectral solvers used? What are the basis set used there?
I see. Well, okay, unfortunately not extremely innovative. So the question asker may be disappointed. This is a problem on the 2-sphere, and you know an eigenbasis for the Laplacian on the 2-sphere. So I just used spherical harmonics. You take some high degree sum of spherical harmonics, you plug it into your PDE, and you solve for the coefficients of this.
Thank you. Any further questions online or in person? If not, we end on time, and we thank Daniel again.